Welcome home, neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland,
New York,
New Jersey,
Indianapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan.
Iowa,
Massachusetts,
Georgia,
Canada,
Our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesian,
Bay Lake Tower,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Hilton Head, Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs.
Beach Club.
and Wilderness Lodge.
And you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening
to
my
DVC
Points.
Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 78 of the My DVC Points Community Hall Live podcast. My name is Chad Pennycuff, and I am your host tonight. Before we jump into tonight's show, I want to do a quick shout out of thanks to World of DVC for sponsoring our show. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monera Financial. If you have a DVC contract and you're paying more than 9.9%, and some of you are going, whoa, that sounds high. You haven't seen the rates from Disney these days. Disney can get up to 18-something%. And we have helped listeners save hundreds of thousands of dollars by refinancing a contract through Monera down to 9.9%, which is still a huge benefit. Also, if you're looking to buy a resale contract, they can finance every DVC property out there now. For a while, they were only doing the Florida properties. They are now licensed and registered and good to go in all states where we have DVC existingly. So monerafinancial.com, let them know you heard about them here on the My DVC Points podcast. I would also like to do a huge shout out to our Patreons as well. And thank you guys so much. I've got a brand new Patreon perk coming out. And this week's perk is coming over here. It's this side. Okay. So our good friend, Tim McDonald, asked me to go over to Poly and pick him up some of these new mugs that they have in right there. I've got a plate left and right. But anyways, it's a new Patreon perk. So for those that are in the snack credit or higher club, if you guys want me to come back in and pick you something up, I am at the parks now 2-3 days a week. And I just soon pick up merchandise for people as to wait in line for a ride. Now, don't ask for something crazy like Figment popcorn buckets. But it is a new Patreon perk. It's coming out for those that are in the upper tiers of the program. And I'll be glad to pick this up for you. Of course, air it on the show and give you a huge shout out as well. But then get it shipped to you and insured in USPS priority mail. We'll take care of that for you. And you just have to pay for the product and the shipping. And tell me what discounts you're entitled to, because I will get the appropriate discount on there for you. So that is what we've got going on. Today's show, we've got a double header, so to speak, 2 little mini topics. And we wanted to come back in and do like a mini Moonlight Magic trip report, because I'm going to welcome Caleb to the show. Welcome back to the show, Caleb.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chad. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so we want to do kind of like a little Moonlight Magic review here in the beginning and kind of tell people some of our experiences. And I've got the little Moonlight Magic popcorn bucket over this side, right back there. Have to look at the camera and it reverses it. So anyways, that was a fun experience. And Caleb, thank you for getting me a ticket to that and letting me go experience that with your family. So what was your overall thoughts, Caleb? Was this your first Moonlight Magic?
Well, this was the second Moonlight Magic that we got to do back in, let's see, I guess that was July of 2019. We were able to do Animal Kingdom. But yes, this was our first one at Epcot. So that overall, it was a good experience. I mean, got to meet a lot of members, and that's something that's when you go to Disney, you always have kind of something in common because everybody's there kind of enjoying the parks. But when you're at Moonlight Magic, it's just a little bit different because everybody in there loves Disney so much that we bought a
They're
piece
all
of
our
Disney.
neighbors.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And so it's kind of like if you're at your high school graduation or something, or your high school class reunion, that you have a whole bunch of people and you have that in common, but then you have kind of a closer knit people. And that's what Moonlight Magic kind of reminds me of, is that you just got kind of even more people that you could talk to, and you share the same experiences. So that was actually my favorite part of the Moonlight Magic, was just kind of talking to people.
I got to tell you, Caleb, it was awesome having it back. Okay. I have been to probably 10 of them by now because I know I did at least 3 out in California, and I've been lucky enough to schedule trips or get to them because we've been members since 2017. And so we started in 2017 going. So we had 17, 18, 19. So I had 3 years leading up to it, and I probably did 3 or 4 a year. So it is good to have them back. And I know a lot of the Facebook groups were really lit up this week over Moonlight Magic. I did see one in the My DVC Points community group just thanking us for not kind of like having a raging fire over it in the group, because things just didn't go so great this week. But I think it's an opportunity, and I think Disney's going to come back in and address these things and fix them. So what were some of your thoughts and the takeaway on the registration process, Caleb?
Well, overall, the registration was pretty easy. It was similar to what it was back in 2019. A very specific time. It got you into a virtual queue, and I appreciated that they gave you a number. Sometimes in other things, you get in a virtual queue and you're just sitting there, but the virtual queue that Disney had, it gave you a number and it would count down. And so you were able to see, am I getting close to being able to register? But the registration was pretty seamless. I would say, I think within 20 minutes, I was inside the actual registration portion and just
Nice.
had to type in just a little bit of information, my member number, and then simply I really think that was it. The member number. I don't remember if they asked for my reservation number, but I did have it ready, um, and and then it sent me an email, and then I believe 2 days before it sent me a kind of a reminder email, which
Yep.
was nice. I mean, I
Mhm.
didn't need the reminder. I mean, I was ready for it,
Oh,
but
yeah. I mean, most of us are waiting with bated breath for it. So just
absolutely.
to give you guys a little bit of context here, back in the day, it was like one web link and it dropped, and you just hammered the server, and the servers just crashed. And now you're going to a pre-server that's got the bandwidth to hold everybody, but it's really just putting you in a virtual queue, and then it'll let you into the actual registration server. So I want to set precedents here. DVC listens, DVC makes adjustments, and they make improvements. And I think they're going to do it again this year because there was quite a few opportunities this year as well. So registration I thought was pretty fair, even though I completely forgot it and missed it. Like, my family's going to take me out back for it. So 50 lashes with a wet noodle or something. But we'll survive. I will find them another one for this summer. And I will redeem myself if at all possible here. So registration was an improvement. And then once we showed up, that's where they came back in, and we all had to like coordinate times and walk in together, your whole party and me. So there was 5 of us on your reservation. And then that's when you came up, and there was like a string of people, and you
Yeah, so we arrived by boat to Epcot, to the international gateway. We were just kind of taking our time getting over there, and the email that we got 2 days ago, it said that your entire party had to be there. So that's what I was anticipating would happen. I also talked to a DVC, one of the DVC kiosks inside of Hollywood Studios, and the person there said that yes, they believed that everybody had to be there together. And whenever I showed up, I asked somebody, and there it was kind of a little bit of a confusion because I kind of came from the boat, and so instead of coming from the gateway where which most people would be coming from Beach Club and Boardwalk, I kind of came from behind. And so they were like, "Oh, you don't need to be here. You need to be up here, into this other area." But once I got there, I just kind of explained the situation. There was a little bit of confusion because one person was telling me that yes, I could check in, and then Chad, you would just have to tell them, my name. And then the person that was actually checking me in, they had iPads, and they said, no, everybody has to be here at the same time.
Well, in previous years, that was the case. So I would tell everybody, read your emails.
Yeah.
Okay. Read your emails because that sounded pretty clear that everybody had to be together there. But then
Yeah.
you kind of checked in, and I was a little shocked because the guy asked for your blue card. He's like, "Do you have your membership card?" And I'm like, "I thought y'all killed those and like went digital, and they all expired." But
Yeah, so what I had done is because I didn't know exactly what to expect, because I'll say that in the parks, whenever I'm showing my Google Pay that has my membership, it says, the DVC and annual pass affiliation on it. A lot of cast members are kind of confused by it, that they're still asking, well, you need to show me your annual pass, or you need to show me your DVC card. So I went ahead and I took a screenshot from the dashboard, the DVC
okay,
dashboard, to make sure that I had it right away, just to make sure there was no confusion. And so that digital card, it is valid for a month. So that's what I actually showed it to them. But yeah, it was a little strange that I thought that maybe they would just check my ID or scan my Magic Band and check my ID. But no, they specifically asked for the membership card.
yeah. And then something that was new this check-in was we actually had 3 little mini stations, people lined up. So the first person kind of like checked us in on the iPad. So the next person gave us the little Moonlight Magic wristbands, which I was waiting till today's show to take it off, but they're kind of cool, and that's what identifies you as a party attendee and lets you into all of the extra stuff there. And then from there, after we got the wristbands, they were handing out the vouchers in like the third station.
Yeah, so I'd say the vouchers, that's kind of where a lot of the confusion and frustration kind of came from members. Um, the cast member that talked to me, and well, to us, I think was great. They specifically said that you
Hmm.
get a popcorn bucket, and that the other vouchers were for snacks, the things that were listed as snacks. And what I heard from other members whenever I was kind of talking to them is that that wasn't necessarily explained, that the top one was supposed to be a popcorn bucket. And they kind of were they didn't go to the popcorn bucket line first. And so when they went to buy a snack, they used that one. Apparently you could use it for the popcorn bucket or for a snack. And so they were unable to get their
Oh,
popcorn bucket because they had used their popcorn bucket voucher. But for me, it was specifically told to me, and you could see on there that it was a different color. Uh,
yeah, and she actually said it had gold text on it, and
yes.
And this is the first time that I know of them giving away a popcorn bucket. So kudos to them for thinking of us and getting us something physical. I thought that was really cool. Like and again, I've been through these iterations where it used to just be you could walk up to the churro cart and say, "Hey, I'll take 3 churros and whatever." And the longest line in Disneyland was at the churro cart, like for anything. But I mean, they were handing out water, soda, popcorn. All the snack carts were just handing out stuff. And then they kind of scaled that back and they said, well, okay, we're just going to have some like drink stations and Mickey bar stations and we'll hand those out. And then we'll get you a $15 like gift certificate voucher coupon that you can use at any food place in the park. And it should be covering, like a lunch entree and a drink and non-alcoholic, of course. So that was kind of cool and neat. I remember I didn't really want a meal, but I used all 15 of it and I got a souvenir sipper bucket or a souvenir sipper cup, one of the Christmas ornament ones over at DCA one year. And so that was cool. So this time we had a popcorn bucket voucher and then 2 snack vouchers, but there was some confusion on that as well.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, my daughter, we had done some snacking around the world for Flower and Garden, and my daughter was already like planning on how she was going to use her vouchers, and she was really looking forward to the tostada that was over in the Mexican um, pavilion,
Hmm.
Mexican pavilion, and when we got there, we kind of stood in line for maybe 2.5 minutes, and it was kind of snaking around. And when we got up to kind of where the actual ropes were, there was a DVC cast member there, and they were directing people away that had the vouchers. And they told us, they said, no, you can't use them here. You can only use them at Disney owned locations.
Well,
And
actually, didn't he say you can only use them with people wearing a green shirt?
yeah, yeah, so the rest and I that was the rest where I said, "Okay, well, how do I know which locations are Disney owned?" And he said, "Well, at the kitchens, you need to look for people that are wearing green shirts." And I told him, I said, it's St. Patrick's Day. Everybody is
Everybody's
wearing
wearing green.
green shirts." So, it
Like-
was very hard to distinguish. So we went to the first kitchen there to Mexico, was where they first said no. Then we walked up to the China Pavilion and their kitchen. The guy was already standing there. And so it kind of clued us in immediately. This isn't going to be a place. But just to verify, I went and I asked him without standing in line. So that sent us on. At this point, we were kind of getting a little frustrated because it was like two places that we went
and
to.
at check-in, they made it sound like it would work anywhere.
Yes,
It was
yes.
just like a dining plan snack credit.
Yes, yes. And so then my wife and I at that point started to split up because at this point we were kind of getting late. The vouchers were at these food booths, and it was only able to be used until 9 o'clock. So it was starting to get late because we didn't check in until just a tad after 8 o'clock. And so I started kind of getting worried. And so she splits up and she goes to the quick service there at the China Pavilion, and I go on to Germany. And when I get into Germany, she sends me a text and says that the quick service at China does not take them. And but I went up to a cast member, and sure enough, the German kitchen was taking it. So
Yay for Germany.
yeah, yeah. Well, there was
And
not a lot of options. It was basic. They had two potato pancakes, which were delicious. I'm not, they were delicious, but it was kind of like we were looking for a little more substance than potato pancakes.
yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and so she ran over to the Germany pretzel cart, and when she got up to it, they were not taking it. So the German kitchen was taking it, but not the German pretzel
Pretzel
cart.
cart,
So we used
which
a whole
is
bunch
the
of
killer thing in Germany is their pretzels because
yeah, yeah,
they're a step up. They're a step up from a Mickey pretzel. I'm just gonna say it. Okay. Like
yeah. So I mean, a little
Gina,
bit of frustration, but
yeah. So Gina,
overall, it was good.
here's her hot tip for Moonlight Magic is when they include free chow, eat first. Get there early, make a park reservation because we could have got in by 6 according to the passes that, for Moonlight Magic. But I know you and we both made Epcot reservations that day because I was like, yeah, I've done that before. I'm not going to try to like show up at 6 in that big line. I'm going to try to get there early and use my AP to get in early. And Gina's saying, yes, use your AP, buy a park ticket, get in early, and then kind of avoid that rush and mess, and then you can go eat in kind of peace. Okay. Because you have to think about this. They gave what 60, 70, 80,000 people 2 free snack credits and said, go at it. Well, the park's going to go nuts with everybody trying to redeem their coupons. So part of it, I don't blame on Disney too much. It's just, everybody wants the free stuff. So
Yeah,
I
see,
get
people talk about like, do you go to Mexico first or do you go to Canada first? And when I was talking to other members about it, it seemed like everybody that went towards Canada had a great time. They said that they got things in Canada, UK, France, and it wasn't until they got to Japan that they even got to the first kitchen that said no, that they did not take the vouchers. So it just seemed like, luck of the draw that we started in Mexico, and that's where they weren't taking
and
it.
kind of hit your no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no.
but
Okay.
other people went the other way, and they said they were very appreciative of all the food they got.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. And now, so the voucher systems kind of need some tweaking, right? And I believe if Disney's history will come back in, they'll make some tweaks and adjustments, and we'll see some changes going forward. It might not be the next Epcot one, but going forward, they'll kind of work out these things. The popcorn buckets were incredibly cool, but at the same point in time, would they have 4 popcorn carts in the whole place for 60 something thousand coupons that they gave away for free popcorn?
Yeah, and I heard also there was a little bit of inconsistency on the popcorn buckets because for our family and you, Chad, they gave 1 popcorn bucket per person, so
Mhm.
we all had a voucher for it. But there were some other members that said that they were getting 1 per family, and
Wow.
so maybe they started doing that at the end. I don't know how that came about, but
Ours
yeah,
were all stapled together, so you
yeah,
got your vouchers and your popcorn bucket voucher all stapled.
yeah. I don't know how that happened. It was just other families were kind of telling me about it,
Okay.
but. Canada was one of the places, and the maple popcorn, which was
It's
our
amazing.
preference. Yes, it's our preference. It's our preference of popcorn just about anywhere in Disney World, and we went to the cart, and at that point, they were actually had 2 different lines, and one line was just to get a bucket with nothing in it, and then the other line was to get the
Yeah, forget
popcorn.
the popcorn, just give me the bucket because
Yeah,
that's all
yeah,
I really wanted. And
and
so then I found out it was popcorn with a bucket and then a bucket with no popcorn, drinks, or anything else. And then once you got into that line, you had to get into another line to come back in and get your drinks. So Canada was kind of a hot mess. I'm not going to lie. But the other carts, they didn't look any shorter, any easier, anything.
no, so I went where I got my popcorn bucket was just outside of Figment. That popcorn, right by the fountain that the water goes up instead of going down. That's where the cart was, and the line started pretty much at the bathrooms that are right there by the Innovations Pavilion.
Yeah, I saw that and I said, I'm going to find another one. I didn't find another one that was any shorter. So yeah. So now what I think would have been cool is if they would have just given us the popcorn buckets at registration right up front and say, if you guys want a popcorn, here's a snack coupon, go get it filled. And then it would have just alleviated all of that mess. The other cool thing it would have done is at 6 o'clock, you would have sent thousands of people into that park with all of the normal day guests there. And we're all carrying DVC popcorn buckets, and they would have gotten more bang for their marketing dollar because you would have had thousands of members in there carrying these buckets, and people go nuts over unique buckets. So people would have been looking at this going, where'd you get the bucket? Well, you got to talk to this guy in this little booth over here and give him 20, 30 grand to buy 150 points. And then you too can get your own bucket.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think
thought that was a missed opportunity. And
yeah, they probably missed the mark on the marketing there.
so let's pick up some of these comments here on this as well. And Dan Kenny's just saying we had a blast. And Jennifer was saying one of the things I like about Moonlight Magic is the rare character meets. And shockingly here, Caleb, like after the first hour, the character meets weren't bad. They were like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and sometimes no lines because everybody was in line for the popcorn bucket. And normally the rare character meets are where all the insider DVC members go because we go enough. Hey, we've been on Soren, we've been on everything that's there. And but wait, wait, I can meet Oogie Boogie Bash. I okay, I'm
Yeah,
in. Like
in the Mexico Pavilion, they had Kronk from Emperor's New Groove, which I have never seen out. Never.
yeah, there was another couple like some of the Evil Sisters were out, Evil Queen was out. And so Jared asked this question here, are these worth traveling from Iowa and building a trip around? Jared, I would say 100% absolutely yes. Okay. If you're coming multiple times a year, anyways, and you see a Moonlight Magic, I would try to engineer a trip around it if I possibly could.
So,
Now,
so what I would say is, and see, I'm not too far away from the middle, like Iowa. I'm here in Oklahoma. So, if it is somewhat close to what you were going to do anyway, if you were already kicking around going this summer or something like that, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But I don't know if I would make a full blown week long trip just to come for the Moonlight Magic. That's
yeah,
just me.
because the other point of it is they're always on the off nights of the park, like a Monday night, a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, something like that. They're never Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're never prime time like that because I guess it just costs more to rent the parks on those nights. So would you make a trip knowing you're going to have to extend it or come early? I say yes. If you're coming anyways, tweak it, move it around, make it happen. Because these events are really, really, really cool. And despite all the kinks that are in this, DVC does a phenomenal job doing this. They will learn from this. They will get better. They will improve. And I look at this and I go, man, I know in my professional life and professional day job, I have had some projects that just did not go well, that they were like as buggy as this Moonlight Magic thing were, and you learn from it and you go on. And I know DVC has a history of learning, improving, and going on, which is why I'm so a fanatic about this product and even the people that run it. So I'm very appreciative and I would do that. So Emily has a pretty long comment here. Registration was great. Took her about 20 minutes. They actually asked for a photo ID, but she didn't have to show her DVC ID. And they picked up snacks early at 7:30 in Norway, 5 people in the line ahead of them. And then at 12:40, she used the second coupon for Norway, completely ran out of everything. They offered fountain drinks for the last few of us. Moonlight Magic is all about the short wait lines, and that was great. Yes, they were very short. Now, Remy was down, which the park couldn't have any control over. But the character meets, this 2/3 of the night, very short. Lines, very short. Everything I thought was pretty good, except for this voucher popcorn bucket mess. But they'll learn from it. They'll go on. And it's good to hear that you were able to use yours in Norway as well. And then this is an interesting comment. Maybe they should use the same mobile order process they use for the second drop of Figment popcorn buckets. That's cool. I think just handing you the buckets at check-in, because they've got to hand you all the other stuff and put the wristbands on. What's another person handing out buckets?
Yeah, and I think there's plenty of people that wouldn't want they want the bucket, but don't necessarily want the popcorn. So if you were handing it out, and then it would also allow you to anybody that showed up early, it would have allowed them to go ahead and get some popcorn before 9 o'clock, because they weren't giving out the popcorn before 9.
Yeah. And then this is a great comment. So you think they did snack credits because it was flower and garden and there's food booths there?
Yes.
That could be. I think that was a fair, really great gesture if that was their intent, going, okay, we're going to go back to the $15 at Hollywood or Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom, because you just don't have the snack booths there. But this is that's it.
It was
And
specifically listed as, it said select a select outdoor kitchen. So I 100% think it was the snack credits just because of the food booths.
yeah. And then Dan was answering Jared, saying that this was his first one. Based off this, I would not plan a trip around it. It was fun, but not that fun. And I'm going, yeah, but Dan, there were some kinks in here. I mean, you have to look at this and go, the people who put this on probably didn't have any experience doing this, because this was 2 years since they've done this. Those people have probably moved on into other roles. So I've got all the grace in the world for that as well. But Jared's kind of says that's kind of what I've heard. Like other things, it was cooler 5 to 7 years ago. And I think 5 to 7 years ago, it was less people in them. And then they got heat that no one could get tickets, so they made more people come in. And now it's not quite as decrowded as it once was. And then how difficult was it to get a Moonlight ticket for this recent event? They sold out instantly. So, I mean, within 20 minutes, they were gone.
Yeah, if you weren't in the queue, I believe it was 10 or 11 o'clock Eastern. I don't remember exactly. It was in the morning. But if you weren't in the queue at that time, then pretty much you weren't getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Emily's saying the Canada Experience popcorn is right on. Hubby went over there for the maple popcorn, ended up saying forget it, as it was 1:30 a.m. and he didn't want to miss a bus back to the resort. He got in line over there at about 12:40. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm with Dan here. I got to meet Dan in person for the first time. Best part was meeting new friends and the characters. The big negative was the long food lines and the lame light show thingy. That's another thing, Dan. Historically, we have had a really cool lighting event, like our own DVC member special fireworks that wasn't just a repeat. It was our own little mini show. Turning on the tacos and spraying some waters was a little underwhelming because I was trying to live it, and I'm like, hey, okay, there's nothing live worthy here. Like, you're killing me here, Disney. Like, so finally we just gave up on it. But Jared saying, what's with the buckets? And well, they're pretty cool. I mean, to have a DVC membership one, some people collect them, Jared. Some people collect magic bands and people collect other different things. So that's what's going on with the buckets. And
I'll also say that, like, with popcorn buckets, it's probably one of my favorite things to have. It's not about necessarily the like how cool they look. It's for less than $3, you get a pretty significant snack that I can give my kids, and it'll keep them busy for an hour or so just snacking on the popcorn. I mean, most other snacks at Disney World are going to cost you way more than $3, and they'll be consumed in 5 minutes. So, that's the other part. I haven't tried to refill my popcorn bucket, but Disney just gave you something that's going to give you a $3 snack over and over.
Yeah, that's very true. Very, very true. So, oh, and okay. So Caleb, thank you for doing the Moonlight Magic stuff. I want to drop you down, and we're going to shift gears now over to the other huge week. This was like a huge week for DVC. So thanks for joining us this week, Caleb. And thanks for everything with Moonlight Magic. And it was great hanging out with your family last week, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So, okay, now I would like to welcome back to the show our regular podcast producer, team member extraordinaire, Sandy, and your husband, Tomas. Welcome.
Hi, Chad. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. So, I mean, I feel like I'm a little Pollyanna, and I'm not usually that Pollyanna about, DVC and some of their decisions, but I felt like they got a little bit of a raw deal from people on Moonlight Magic. And the other big news this week, and I know the three of us all own Polly.
We do.
I was ecstatic about this announcement. What was your guys' general thoughts on it?
Well, you ran upstairs to tell me that it was happening, so you were quite excited about it, I think. Yeah. So that was kind of fun.
Well, I mean, I'm a bit torn on this one, to be fair. The idea of the resort expansion in and of itself is par for the course. That's fair. I mean, no one can really, you know, talk trash or anything against Disney. And there's a lot of people who will, how dare you expand these resorts, whatever. The naysayers will always, the haters are going to hate. That's fine. But I do agree that I'm not convinced that the artwork that was presented is going to give everyone Polynesian-y vibes.
Oh man, that artwork was atrocious, right?
So
the best response.
You gotta hope that it's not final.
Yeah, the best response that I saw on that was a tweet that just said calling Joe Rohde, right?
Exactly. For sure, especially after visiting Aulani recently. I mean, like, could you put any more Hawaiian cultural theming into that resort if you tried? I don't think so.
I was gonna say I saw some people complaining, going, it's not going to match the rest of it. It can't be Hawaiian. It's a tower. I'm like, hello, have you heard of this little resort called Aulani? It's amazing. And
exactly.
So and then, I have full faith in Disney that they'll pull something off here that'll be pretty cool. As a Poly owner, I was super excited that I might have 11-month access to 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms again.
For sure.
Us too. That was a really interesting aspect of it.
Yeah, I found it curious too that there's a sort of a lot of people just sort of like worrying about the value of their contracts and the value of the points. But for us, we're lifers. We're in it for the long deal. I have no intention of renting out or selling the contract. I mean, many people will, and with various platforms that can do that. I mean, we have no intention of that. And I would imagine the true DVCers are the ones that are a bit more long term about it. Just like thinking of it more like you did, which is just that much more inventory that you have access to. And from that perspective, that's
it
excellent.
increases
That's
the
fantastic.
value, wouldn't it, over the long haul if you have more access to different room types?
It would, because there's a lot of people who don't want poly because it's just like, I don't want those studios and I can't afford the bungalows. Well,
Exactly.
hello. I mean, that's what we've got there. So I'm excited about it because I think later down the road, they'll be able to take care of some of the point devaluation process between those
Sure.
bungalows and, kind of make them a little bit more obtainable by intentionally lowering points in this, maybe shifting some.
I don't know about that, but there'll be definitely some interesting maneuvering going on. That's
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to maneuver. And we do have precedents for them doing that because they have increased the cost of the tree houses. When the tree houses first launched, they were the same price as the 2 bedrooms over in Saratoga as an add-on.
Right.
And so they came back in and went, oh, tree houses are super popular. We can't move a
Rebalanced.
lot of this 2-bedroom inventory. So they raised the price of the tree houses and lowered the price of the 2 bedrooms after an addition.
Yep.
So I think there's precedent here, and I think we could see that starting to come back in as well.
Fingers crossed. My only fear, however, is that they do what they did with Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek, where they're 2 separate resorts, and then the existing poly owners wouldn't have access to the new building.
Yeah, but okay.
I'm gonna bet against that one.
I'm betting against that one.
Yeah, I bet
based
against that
on
one.
grand flow.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it just not only the physical proximity, but just the way it's going to be structured. I can't see it wanting to be its own standalone thing. The property is way too small a footprint to deal with parking and the logistical infrastructure. You would need to have 2 separate, contracts because don't forget, at the end of the day, these are properties that you are a shared owner of, right? Right. They have their deeds, they have all their own stuff. And I can't see those 2 properties being independent from all of the resources that they would need to be the way Copper Creek is from the other, where they are really their own 2 separate entities completely. So I think that it'll be shared. As a golfer, I do like the idea of having extra space to stay right across the street from Shades of Green, which is always full. So bringing more people there. I mean, people are maybe underestimating the foot traffic of the golfing crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the foot traffic at Poly is just insane to begin with. It is the number 1 foot traffic resort, being that close to TTC, Trader Sam's, Ohana, all of the phenomenal restaurants there.
And not only that, it gives them a great workaround as far as like the pushback that a lot of people had for Riviera and the fact that you wouldn't be able to use your points at other resorts when you purchase. So the fact that they're doing that with the Grand Flow, it might allow them to get around that loophole again.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that.
Mhm.
And
So fingers crossed that they modify the design a little bit so that it's not just like a home 2 suites or some Marriott property or
yeah, so
Wyndham,
there's a
or
bunch
something
of
like that.
comments in here. He
For
goes, I
sure.
wonder if there's anything that can be done to change the design, writing Thomas Melzum, perhaps. Do you think it's written in stone? And then Marianne says, it looks like a Marriott. I've seen those kind of things. We have a quick sketch. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the problem here though is that if you look, so on one hand, like I wish that they would have more design flavor, not to be full Olani, because that would be too much of a redesign, but something a bit more like the longhouses that they have existing. The thing is, they're saying get first guests fall of or what, Q3, Q4, 2024. That is not a lot of time, right? That's less than 2 years. So you're talking 20 months, or
they're
18
going to be
months.
breaking ground soon.
That's crazy, right? So that's really, really fast, which means you have to have the plans ready. You have the general sourcing contracts already in place, and it's just go, go, go. So it's, if they could change
Chances of
those
a
roof lines a
redesign?
little bit, that would be nice. They need to modify that a little bit, I think, just to bring in a bit more of the spiel, the style of.
Yeah,
But by
but
the same token, I feel like they're doing it on purpose because they want it to feel updated. They want it to feel new. They don't want it to feel like a
Retro
carbon
kitschy,
copy.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A carbon copy of what they already have, because that's unique and special in its own right. Right. So having a completely different looking building.
Like Bay Lake.
Exactly.
Doesn't
That's
nearly have any of the mid-century modern retro flair that Contemporary had. Right? And
exactly. It's an update.
but it still
Just a generic
visually
of-
works though. Bay Lake still
I
works
disagree.
next to the tower.
Oh, no.
So
Okay, that's not the debate tonight, folks.
No, I know it's not the debate, but personally, I'd agree. It's just, it feels like we've stayed. It feels like, I don't know. It doesn't have the flair of Contemporary. Grand
Well,
Flow
there's no
Polynesian.
monorail going through it. Okay, that's pretty hard to compete with. But we
For sure.
don't know what they're going to do with the monorail at this new one because it's right there as well.
My
So
guess is
could there be
that it
another?
would be, you think so? There would be another monorail station
I doubt
there?
it.
I doubt it.
Could be. That would be awesome if it was, because look at how close it's going to be to the existing Grand Flow DVC building.
Mm-hmm.
Could
It's
be
gonna
a new
right
joint
next
spot.
door.
Yeah, that's true.
Then again, I'm going to put my golfing cap on that one and wish they did, because then that would even get you even closer.
Yes, there's a lot of great reasons. We don't know. All we have, guys, is concept art.
Exactly. The other
And
thing,
Although I wonder, I mean, I haven't personally traveled to anywhere in Tasmania, because what I suspect one of those buildings is going to be called, since it geographically fits as the Australian Tasmania Pavilion. So
Yeah.
I wonder if those names will come out. That'd be cute,
could be.
right? Because it's right next to New Zealand, and
could
the
be.
Fiji
Could
Longhead.
be. Could be there. And let's talk about this as well, though. I really wasn't blown away by the concept art for Riviera. And now that it's here and I'm looking at it, it looks much better than the concept art does as well. So that's another reason why I have hope, is that we'll
true.
be able to do something there as well. So
Fingers
that's
crossed.
kind of my thought there. But
Yep.
so I'm excited about this. Now, I did think it was exceptionally odd when they did this announcement.
The
Because-
timing is curious. There's no.
Well, they
Prime
did it
provision.
on day 13 of Grand Flow sales. So if you wanted to buy direct from the monorail and you bought opening day of Grand Flow and signed that day, you're beyond your right of rescission to get out of it by day 13.
oh, I
So I'm like,
didn't
why didn't
think
you
of
just
that.
back this up 3 days? And
Huh.
when that went on sale, say, okay, by the way, guys, this is going on sale, or you've got this.
Are you giving them too much credit though?
Well,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah, they probably aren't thinking that far in advance or that consumer friendly. But
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's just existing construction infrastructure planning work that was happening for Reflections, that at some point, for reasons that, you know, those who maybe have a deeper in know, for whatever reason, had to shift gears and say it
Well-
cannot. There might be a physical
Ground
reason that it can't
tests or
advance
maybe.
for water drainage or for whatever.
let's be
reason.
honest, there wasn't all that many people super excited about that place to begin with. No one was going backflips over this.
But I'm
Again,
gonna
it was-
bet that there was an actual, like a physical reason, a force majeure that caused them to say we cannot
COVID,
go ahead with this
okay?
project and we need to switch.
It was COVID that put the brakes on that. But at the end of the day, nobody was super excited about a non-monorail resort that's way off over there, and then that looked like reflections of Lakeside Lodge. It sounded like where you'd take your grandmother for a retirement home, not where you're going to take your kids for a Disney
So,
vacation.
so you're gonna make it like up themed? Is that it?
So yes,
There you go.
Paradise Falls would have been even better.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness,
That would
that's
be
a
awesome, actually.
Brilliant concept, actually. They should totally come up with it.
Yeah, switch
would be
Reflections over
really
to Paradise
cool.
Falls with like the Shady Acres or whatever.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
that would work. But
Okay.
there- I mean, the campgrounds, to be fair, I mean, Fort Wilderness, I mean, is packed, right? It's
is.
always busy. It's full.
Sold
So
out
that's-
most of the time.
But that's
Even
the
the monorail
campgrounds
crowd
and
isn't-
RVers, and those guys are their own little unique culture over there. Okay. That's the RVN crowd has got a spot at Disney World, and it's a destination place to RV your way over to Disney World and go do all of
Mhm.
that that's there. So I'm completely good with
Did
with
you?
that.
Are we disappointed at all? Like, we loved the luau there.
It was
I
nice.
don't know if
We had
other
a good
people
time.
are really disappointed about that as well. So what intrigued me when I was reading up about it a little bit is that they actually said that there's going to be like an homage to the luau there. So I'd be interested to see what's going to end up there. Maybe it's going to be the lounge, like the theme of the lounge that they're announcing, or
Hopefully,
sort of
hopefully there's some
designing?
little
Could
tip of
just
the
be
hat
clever
that would be
copywriting.
very Disney. But for me, the luau was a one and done. Okay. And this was a decade ago when I've done it. And it was not even on my list of I want to go back anytime soon. It was a one and done.
not like Hoop-de-Doo.
No. Hoop is at least in every other family vacation for
Yeah.
us.
And
So
and when you look at that, just that property, right? All that shoreline, it's an insanely valuable
That's true.
stretch of land.
Mhm.
And what they were able to do with the Grand Flow extension to say,
Yeah.
well, we've got this giant piece of land that's just prime location. And you know
And
what?
solid.
And people are
and we're using it for 2 hours a night for a luau, but
Mhm.
you're not even really getting a view of the water.
yeah,
True.
exactly. So,
So-
revenue per square foot is pretty small. So I mean, I know there's a lot of backlash, so but you can't blame them for wanting to capitalize on that property a little bit more. And then maybe they bring in a dining experience that is a bit
indoor
more
one that
bit more
doesn't get canceled because of
luau-esque.
rain.
Potentially, maybe.
It could
Potentially
be.
another Trader Sam's experience, although that could be fun
I
too.
think if they were to make a bigger, 4 times as big, 6 times as big Trader Sam's, it'd still be packed.
Maybe they're going to actually do the Tiki Bird restaurant that they initially started the concept for the Tiki Birds with. That would be cool.
That would be awesome as well.
An enchanted
And
Tiki Birds restaurant.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
that would be really fun.
Dan Kenny says, I hope the new tower has a cool pool. My concern is the restaurant and the main pool are so busy already. Monorail too. Now with more people, this may get out of control.
I'm not
Yes,
sure there's
Dan, they're
enough
going to
square
have
footage
to
for
add a
pool.
pool there.
You
They
think?
have to.
You think it fits?
I think there's no choice but to, because that
Another
pool is
private pool.
already the most packed pool in all of DVC outside of maybe Alani.
Mhm.
Okay, which is a nutso pool in and of itself, but that's kind of what there is to do at Alani is go to the pool. Okay, but
Yeah, I'm not convinced there's enough space for them.
yeah,
Be nice because I mean the artwork has a nice sort of like promenade area,
Mhm.
like an open air walking between that and the New Zealand
Yeah.
Longhouse. So we'll see.
Marianne says that the Grand Flow was just one building. This new Poly expansion looks like a full hotel, just like Bay Lake.
It does.
And
I agree with you.
It does.
Marianne.
And I love it. Okay. And Caleb is saying, I can't wait for a 1-bedroom Poly unless I sell some points. I won't buy there, but we will be there for a 7-month switch. And then Bruce says, Boulder Ridge had an expiration date of 2042. No one would have bought CC with that expiration
That's
date.
true, Bruce. I
Right.
didn't know
And
that.
so, but you've still got 40 years left on Poly. So
Correct.
it's still got plenty of viability left.
Still got legs.
And
And demand.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Legs, it's got demand, it's got everything. It's got monorail, it's prime location. It's got everything. And
I remember like Tim, our DVC Tim.
Mhm.
So our sales agent, when we had worked with the purchase, was one of the original buyers, was in the original crowd. And when Polly came up,
He sold off
he
his old
he
Key
sold his
West.
old
Mhm.
contracts in order to buy Polly, because he said, as the families age, get older, being on monorail, the proximity, the Magic Kingdom, absolutely. So the demand will be there for the long term for sure.
Oh,
We'll see that.
yeah. This contract's going to hold value for some time. Jared says, I will miss Spirit of Aloha. Lots of great memories. And geez, where else can you get an all-you-can-enjoy beer and wine?
Whoop-de-doo.
Well, I'm going to say,
Hoop-de-doo, right?
I'm going to say the pub crawl that is now known as Epcot World Showcase.
Yeah.
I'm going to say aloha to the Spirit of Aloha and just kind of move on, right?
I wore my Aloha shirt in
In honor.
the spirit.
Yeah. And Judy says, I read something that there are plans to add more Skyliners. It is difficult and expensive to maintain new monorails, but I don't think it's that expensive to add a monorail stop to an existing monorail. So
I really don't think there's going to be an extra stop. I think you're going to either have to decide if you're walking to Grand Flow or if you're walking to the Poly.
Yeah,
it would be nice.
It would be
'Cause I
nice,
think it's
but I don't
equidistant.
think it works. I think it's exactly in the middle.
I think so too. I think it's in the middle of the resort at that point.
And Adam says, I'm curious if they'll do anything about the monorail capacity.
I hope
It can
so.
get crowded at park flows already. Perhaps a magic band scan for resort guests only.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be a
At
really
the
good
bottom
one.
of the ramp.
But the other thing is if you add another stop to that monorail, you've got more.
Slow down.
You can put another train on there, another train on the track, because they're all going to come around and do a stop and do a stop. So you are going to
Okay.
increase capacity. So that would be a great way of increasing capacity right there.
Yeah,
And then
interesting.
Carol says, I wonder if Joe Brody left because the concept was not up to his specs to maintain the theme. Right.
There you go, Carol. That was.
I think that has
fabulous.
to do with a check with a whole bunch of zeros and Bob Shakeup, with SpaceX, saying, come on over. And he was tired of the ShapeX stuff. That's just my own speculation.
I'm going to say,
Is that Virgin? Isn't
yeah,
it?
he went with Richard Branson.
Yeah, Branson.
Something tells me that the spaceports with him is maybe
It's
a little
gonna
bit
be
more interesting as the
pretty
next
amazing.
challenge.
Yeah. So somebody on Facebook says, how many 2-bedrooms, I wonder, Grand Villas? I was going to get Grand Flow for a blue card, but now
Yep.
That's still a great idea. And I need to do an episode on why you should buy Grand Flow. And if you need the blue card, forget Riviera, switch gears, leave that place in the dust. Okay.
Because it's beautiful and it's right on the monorail and highly sought after.
Yeah. And then, Nick says those firework views are going to be epic. And yes, you can bet there's some grand villas up there at the top. Hopefully we get another top of the world type lounge-ish.
I didn't
or
even
some kind of a
restaurant
there.
That's true.
The concept art has sort of like a 2-story glassed viewing, right?
Oh,
that could be fun.
Now you're talking.
Yeah. The potential here is just off the hook, right? It's just off the hook. And then Tim says the only reason why I haven't bought it Poly because it was just studios. We do 1 and 2 bedrooms every trip. I'm so excited for this resort, and I am as well. So I think this was some major news. It gives me hope that, hey, we can still buy some non-restricted points even after VGF goes away. As a Poly owner, I looked at this and went, man, my points here just got even more valuable because I got more things I can do with them.
Absolutely.
And I'm super excited about that as well. And
yeah, it's going to be quite nice to see.
Sandy, Tomas, you guys have any final thoughts here as well?
Other than I'm going to be tempted at trying to convince him to buy more Poly points. No.
Well, I'll be in your corner because yeah, it's an amazing resort and I absolutely love it. I was just there last night picking up Tim's mugs. Again, huge shout out to all of our Patreons as well. And I'll grab these for you. And the reason why he asked me to go get them is he was like, they sell out and the designs are gone. They're here for a while and they're gone. And so I was like, well, Tim, I'll take one for the team and have a couple of drinks. He actually had 3. So there's a third one coming.
Look at the zombie. So cool.
I was like, Tim, I have to drive home from here. I can't just hop a monorail and go home or a bus. So I'm not going to, and the third one was already a double. So I was like, okay, the best way to break this up is these 2 and sit here for an hour, 2 hours, and then I can drive home. But I ain't tackling that third one on one trip for you.
No kidding.
They're way cooler than our Trader Sam's ones.
Yeah. Well, these are Trader Sam's.
No, I know, but like just the plain pearls.
Oh, well.
Way cooler.
Those were up there too. He just didn't have them tagged. So anyways, let's add Caleb back onto the show. I know I saw a comment here as we wrap things up. So Caleb, welcome back. And thanks for joining us as well. Any final comments here on the Poly or still on mute?
Oh, here I'm mute.
I'll say that I'm very excited about Poly. Just whether there's a monorail stop, whether there's a just separate condo association or anything like that, whatever it might be, I'm excited about it because like Tomas was saying, that it's just prime real estate, and all that space it needs to be used for something that we can book.
And like I said, I'm hoping for add-on to Poly. I'm hoping for more points. I'm hoping to solve the bungalow problems down the road with this.
I'm hoping for more Dole Whip stations.
Oh, yes. Hit me up. Like, yes. Dole Whip. Come on now.
And pineapple haichu. Can we set up a shop that sells pineapple haichu?
We need
at
the pineapple
Polynesian?
haichus.
From Milani, yeah. Okay, over there at the ABC store. Although that's an ABC store thing, not an Alani thing.
I know,
so.
but it's across the street.
Yeah, but Disney can make that happen.
Oh,
Come
yeah,
on.
for sure. If they've got Dole Whip, they can get haichus.
They know people.
So, anyways, thanks everybody for tuning on. And thank you again to our Patreons. We do have a special thank you for the Patreons. We've now figured out how to update the little Patreon credit video. So if your name is misspelled, if you're left off of that, shoot me a note on Patreon. And we'll come back in and get it fixed. We're going to be updating this video every month going forward. The problem was last time I had it outsourced and they just created the MP4 file, but I didn't have access to the source. So now we've kind of recreated this as a source file, and we'll keep it updated going forward. So thank you guys all for your continued support. And we will be back next week. And I think we've got a game coming up next week. I think it's our game that I bumped this week due to all the great moves.
Who knows? I might
was
drop more news this week.
Yeah, well, and hey, they drop some more epic news. We'll bump back a game. But Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. You guys have a good one, and we will be back next week. So good
Bye,
night, everybody.
Good night.